right, fourth grade, let's go ahead and talk about lesson 203 for English language arts. So as we get ready to kind of start our lesson, my question to you is, what are text structures? This is going to be different than a text feature or an access feature that we had talked about last week. Well, let's get ready to kind of take a look and learn. So today, our I can statement is that today I can identify text structures and use context clues to determine the meaning of unknown words. So right here, we have the word prairie. And for us in Kansas, I hope we know what a prairie is. But it has, in the United States, there are meadows called prairies. There isn't a hill or mountain in sight. Well, a prairie is going to be similar to a meadow. See how it says a meadow is called a prairie? So what I think it means is a prairie is a large space of land that doesn't really have many hills and there are no mountains, and it's a big grassy area like a meadow. Over here, this says for a brief moment there was silence. It didn't last long enough. So if I'm not sure what this means, the word brief, I know that it says it was a moment. I know a moment isn't very long. In fact, the author goes on to say it didn't last long enough. So I would say like a brief moment is maybe a pause for like 2 or 3 seconds. So not super long, but just long enough. Like there, I kind of gave a brief pause to show you what I meant. So let's get ready to kind of take a look at some text structures, okay? So right here, it says match the term with the definition. So let's look at some. So it says the information is organized by comparing and contrasting. Well, I see that comparison also matches the word comparing. So I know that comparison and comparing and contrasting is probably the same thing. Here, I see that it says the information is organized by stating a problem and then giving one or more possible solutions. Well, one of my options is problem and solution. So I bet that goes together. So over here it says text structure. Well, we just said that's how the text is organized. So that leaves me with 2, chronology and cause and effect. Over here, this says the information is organized in the order of the events that happened. So like first, second, next, last. This one says the information is organized by listing what happened and why it happened. Well, I know that cause and effect relationships are when we have like dominoes that are standing, they get bumped and then they fall. So that would be like what happened and why did it happen? Well, the blocks fell down. Why did they fall down? They got bumped. So cause and effect, awesome, which means chronology stands for like chronological order. And I know chrono means time in prefixes. Whoop, whoop. So let's take a look at some different examples of some text structure. So right here, this has the different types. So we have chronological order, compare, contrast, sequential order, problem and solution, cause and effect. What is not listed here is description. Description is when you are describing something. Pele was born in Brazil in 1940. He joined his soccer team. He joined his first soccer team, Santos Football Club, in 1956 and led them to their first world championship in 1962. He also played with the Brazilian national team, who he led to the World Cup victories in 1958, 1962, and 1970. By 1970, he had scored his 100th goal and made history as the best goal scorer in history. When he retired in 1974, Pele had scored 1,200 goals in 1,253 games. After his retirement, Pele became an international ambassador for soccer. He worked to promote peace and understanding through friendly athletic competition. So something that I notice right here is I'm hearing some dates, like born in 1940, joined his first soccer club in 1956, led them to a championship 6 years later in 1962, played with the World Cup team in 1958, 62, and 70. 1970 scored his 100th goal. So it looks like this is chronological order. I'm seeing a lot of things with times and they go in order. So I know the author has organized this nonfiction text on information about the soccer player Pele in chronological order. Let's take a look at this next one. So this is cause and effect, chronological order, compare and contrast. I want you to go ahead and pause the video, read the passage, and then pick which type of text structure you think it is. When you're ready, you can go ahead and hit play, and then you can hear me talk about how I solved this problem. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at text structure practice number 1. This says building a birdhouse can be a fun activity. First, you will need to purchase your supplies. Next, you will need to gather your tools. Then you will need to choose your workspace. Last, you will need to carve out time to build and and paint. So again, I heard some orders to do things. First, next, then, last. I know that this isn't comparing two things. I'm also not looking at, let's say, building a birdhouse and why are we building a birdhouse for cause and effect. This is going in order of first, second, next, last. Let's try another. Same thing, go ahead and pause the video, listen to me try this, and then you try. All right, let's see how you did, 4th grade. Text structure number 2. I placed the bird feeder in my yard. Therefore, many critters have visited my yard. Squirrels began eating the bird feed. As a result, there wasn't much food left for the birds to consume. So is this cause and effect, chronological order, or compare and contrast? Well, something that I noticed is we had 2 different animals listed. Well, we have like birds and squirrels. But we didn't really talk about the differences in birds and squirrels. So I know it can't be compare and contrast. I also didn't see anything really going in order of like first, second, next, last. But I did see this phrase, as a result. As a result is usually a signal word for a cause and effect relationship. So I know that this is probably going to be something that has cause and effects in it. So let's go ahead and try to do some sequencing, putting events in order. So we have finally use a spoon to scoop the sorbet into a bowl, serve it immediately, or store it in the freezer until you're ready. Then add a squeeze of lime juice and run the blender for a few seconds to mix the lime juice in. First, place 8 ounces of frozen fruit in a food processor or blender. Next, pulse to crush the fruit into small pieces and add the simple syrup, a tablespoon at a time to create a smooth paste. So what goes first? Hopefully you know that the one that says first should go first. What goes after first? Next. Then. And the word finally tells us this is the last one. So when we put them in order, first, next, then, finally, we have a story that makes sense. All right, so let's try doing some comparing and contrasting and looking at different types of text structure. So I'm going to read the directions, and then I want you to kind of help me figure out what they could be. So it says the way that an author organized information in a text is called text structure. Understanding what the text structure is can help students direct their attention on key concepts and relationships, make predictions, and better comprehend what the author is trying to say. It says read each sample and drag and drop the excerpt into the appropriate text structure category. So we have cause and effect, problem and solution, compare and contrast, description, sequence, and then question and answer. I've never heard a question and answer, so we'll just kind of use our best judgment over here. So this says, in April, it rains a lot. As a result, many plants and flowers will bloom. Well, we have that signal word, as a result. So I know as a result is usually a cause and effect relationship. I also know we have what is causing the plants and flowers to grow. Well, it's the rain. So again, my cause is the rain. The effect of the rain is that the plants and flowers are going to bloom. If you can't remember what your homework is, write it in an agenda to help you remember what to do. This sounds like a problem. You can't remember what your homework is. So the solution is to help you remember it. Maybe you should write it in an agenda. So if you can't remember your homework, write it in an agenda. Let's take a look at another. Okay, we have lizards and salamanders have smaller bodies. However, a lizard is a reptile and a salamander is an amphibian. Well, it sounds like we're describing some reptiles. And amphibians. So I'm looking at how maybe they're similar and different. So we're comparing for similarities. So things that are the same, well, they both have similar bodies. The way that they're different is that the lizard's a reptile and the salamander's an amphibian. All right, let's take a look at the zebra. So this says a zebra longwing is black and white. As a caterpillar, it has a white body, yellow spines, and a yellow head. I'm not hearing a sequence like first, second, next, last. I don't think it's asking questions and answering them. So this sounds like a description about what a zebra longwing is. I see it even tells me it has a white body, black spines, and a yellow head. Okay, let's take a look at this next one. I always start my day in the same way. Brush my teeth, eat breakfast, then get dressed. That sounds like the order of events you're doing something, which is a sequence. I do mine a little bit different. First, I get dressed, then I brush my teeth, then I eat my breakfast, which means question and answer must be this one, but I'm still going to double check. How much does a baby elephant weigh? That sounds like a question. Maybe I'm going to find the answer next. Newborn African elephants mostly weigh between 90 and 120 grams, or 198 to 265 pounds. That's a big old baby. So let's take a look at Buzz and let's look at our assignment today. So we're going to head into 4th grade English Language Arts. We're heading into Module 2 on healthy choices. And we're going into Lesson 203, Healthy Choices Text Time. So this says, hey, we're going to read the lesson, complete the activities in the lesson, And then we're going to do something with text structure, wash your hands. All right, more text structure. So as we're going through, we are going to review different ideas about text structure. You'll have some vocabulary review. There's an anchor chart right here that I think is an awesome one for you to print off and put in your English Language Arts journal. I would suggest this because this will help you immensely. This is a really great resource for us to use. This is going to be on page 3. Make sure to print that off. You have some interactives to help you match the different types of text structure. When you get to the end, you have your assignment. And it says, hey, we're looking at the text called How to Wash Your Hands. So let's look right here, How to Wash Your Hands. Bump, 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 bump. So you're going to read the story, How to Wash Your Hands. After you read How to Wash Your Hands, you are going to circle some of the different text features like the heading, but then it's really specific about it. That includes the sequence text structure. So right here, importance of washing, how to wash your hands, or safety first. So which one of these followed a sequence text structure when you read it? Right, 4 key words in this section that help you identify the sequence. So whichever one you pick as sequence, you then need to go to that passage or that heading, okay, like importance of hand washing, how to wash your hands, safety first. And then you're going to give the examples. What are the 4 key words that helped you identify the sequence in that section? Remember, you have these anchor charts from page 3 that I said would be really helpful for you to print off. Right here, here's your helpful hint on what those items are. Finally, you're going to explain how the text structure helps the reader learn about this section. All right, make sure to use vocabulary like structure, sequence, heading, and your answer. All right, when you're done, you're going to submit it right over here into activity 203. Don't forget to be doing your 30 minutes of reading. You got this, 4th grade.